I'm not famous, but I know someone who is, and he's changed my life. So think back to when you were a kid and you were playing in the grass. You would felt like you've always known what that grass was. It wasn't something new to you. You'd always experienced it. But thinking back about that now, there was definitely a time when you didn't know what that grass was. And that's how my relationship with God has been. I always feel like I've known about him, just like I feel like I've always known about grass. And he's always been that familiar. And in some ways that's made my relationship with him a lot harder. It's because he's always been there. It's hard for me to remember what it was like without him. And now, growing up, my parents were really involved in my life, and they really wanted me to know God and to experience his love. And so they would take me to church. I went to a school that was dedicated to raising up Christians, and it was great. It was so fun to go there because I learned all about God's love, but it was never my decision. They were the ones that took me to church on Friday, on Sunday. They told me when to pray. They even told us what prayers to pray before lunches. And while I'm really thankful for it, it was also really hard because my faith wasn't my own. And so when I wasn't in those environments, my faith didn't even cross my mind. It was just not something that I ever thought of. And as I started growing up, I started going to camp, which a lot of kids do, and it was so fun. You get to do all kinds of crazy games at camp, as you know, and one special thing that we got to do at the camp I went to is we would have special time set aside where we could spread out and we could talk to God. And so I was doing this one day, and I just went down out into the woods, found like these cute benches, and was just sitting there kind of praying to God, and he just filled me with an overwhelming sense of peace, and just that he was there, that he was present in my life. And I realized that he loved me so much, and that I just wasn't loving him back well. I had always let other people tell me when to love him and what to do. But I made the decision right there that my faith was going to be my own. And that was when my almost issue of independence started. I felt like I could do all this on my own. Like I had realized that on my own that God was so great. And I realized on my own that I wanted to follow him. And in reality, it was God's Spirit who drew me into that. And I just didn't realize it at all. And so I started middle school and eventually high school, and I always thought I could do everything on my own. I could be this perfect Christian. I could change people's lives. I could be this amazing example. But what I didn't know is in Ephesians 2:8 and 9, it says, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not of yourselves. It is a gift from God." And I just always thought it was me, that I was the one who was so great. And this burden that I was putting on myself to please God in all the things I was doing just was weighing down on me so hard. And that is not what God wants from his people. He wants us to be free. And he blessed me with the verse, Micah 6:8, which I love to share with people, and I always try and keep at the front of my mind. It says, "For he has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord ask of you? To act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God." It's so simple. He just wants us to be in communion with him, to be with him, to rest in him, to love him. And out of that, our actions overflow. And so having that verse and just having God speak into my life in that way has blessed me so much with peace and just a joyfulness. And the things that I do is an overflow of God and not something that comes from me. And that has changed my life. I'm not famous, but I know someone who is.